Welcome to the Beyond the Leash podcast, the show where we dive into the world of service dogs and beyond the leash, unleashing the truth, breaking down the barriers, and sharing incredible stories behind the harnesses. I am your host, service dog educator.
I'm Paws.
Whether you're a handler or an ally or just curious, you're in the right place. Get ready to learn, laugh, and be inspired because life is better with a working dog by your side. Let's get started. So our first topic of the day is talking about the healthy, happy, and working vaccine and working vaccines and grooming for service dogs. So in this topic, we're going to dive into a little bit about like how to like the grooming standards for service dogs to what's been kind of going on TikTok recently. And I just want to also make a disclaimer really quick. If my voice goes in and out, I do apologize. I'm still getting over being sick and I've been having voice issues. But I'm good. So, but let's get into the whole TikTok thing really quick. So apparently there was a person on TikTok talking about vaccines or like flea stuff for their dogs and stuff like that. And a lot of people are against vaccinating their dogs or giving them medication for fleas in general. And what I'm going to say about this, first off, by a law standard, you have to have your dog groomed and taken care of. And it has to be vaccinated under the law as well. You can't just throw a dog out there that has no vaccines whatsoever. And I'm also highly against the vaccinating for kids, like the people that don't believe in vaccines for their kids. Like, I'll even go a step further and talk about that too, but that's another topic for another day. But at the same time it's like, why, like, you want your dog to give rabies to people? Like, there's so much stuff that the vaccines do for their animals when they are service dogs. And it is in the law that we do have to vaccinate our dogs because there's a standard for service dogs for a reason. Like, I just can't freaking believe it. Like, honestly.
And not just that, shops can ask for your vaccination records.
That too. Like, places of housing and shops and anyone can ask for vaccination records out in public. Like, you could literally go out into public and get and they could ask for it, and they are legally allowed to. So, like, if you don't vaccinate your dog, I'm sorry, but you're going whether or not it's a service dog and it's a reliably trained service dog, you are going and they get asked for vaccines and you're not going to supply them with vaccines. Like, it just has to be on the dog tag. That's literally it. Or you have to carry around a piece of paper of your vaccination records. And if you cannot provide that, they literally can kick you out. That's one of the other reasonings, like the other way to kick a service dog out. Leo, come.
So, and also not just that, it's dangerous. I live in Oklahoma, and just this year alone, in the state of Oklahoma, there have been 12 documented cases of domestic canines with rabies. Do you know what happens to test for rabies? Do you know what they have to do? They cut off your dog's head. Your dog does not survive a rabies test. They have to...
We have to make this a little TikTok friendly and YouTube friendly, Kaden.
Okay. They have to unalive the dog for a rabies vaccine to test for rabies.
Yeah. And I don't know if you want to go through that with your dog, but I don't want to go through it with mine. Especially my service dog. Especially if you're taking your dog out into public, like as a service dog, that is going to be like, if it's a normal everyday pet dog, like I'm less lenient. Like, you should do it and it is required for you to do it, but I'm less lenient with it because these dogs aren't going out into public as often. Probably they're in their yards, they're staying away from people, and yada yada yada. But they still should be. But still, service dogs are out in the public all the time because they're there to be task trained to mitigate a disability. So they need to be vaccinated. If you cannot afford the vaccines for your animal, or you just choose not to, you shouldn't have a service dog at all. Like that's part of the basic necessities of owning a dog is caring for their medical and their grooming and their food and their shelter. That's one of the basic necessities.
It's also just gross. Like, do you know that parvo can stay in the soil for up to 7 years? If your dog were to catch parvo, do you know how awful that is on a dog? I've
Oh,
seen
and they
it
also said
multiple
that
times.
older dogs can't get parvo. That's actually not true, guys. And I'm going to say that right now. And how I know it's not true is because my before my mother passed away, she had a dog. His name was Toby. We got Toby when I was like in middle school, and he was with the family for years, right? So when my mother and father got sick and they were in the hospital, and my mother was unalived, they gave my father gave Toby to my brother. So my brother wanted to get another dog in the household because Toby was very upset and seemed depressed. So he went out and got a puppy, and I don't know where he got this puppy from, but the puppy ended up having parvo. And he talked to like people, he talked to friends and everything, and they said, "Oh, the older dogs can't get parvo. The older dogs can't get parvo." So he took the sick dog to the vet. The sick dog ended up unaliving. Then he came back, and I think like weeks later, Toby ended up passing away from parvo as well because he did not go and take care of it when the dog was first came into the house, and he was also told that older dogs couldn't get it, so he didn't do anything about it. No, older dogs can still get parvo and still be unalive from parvo. That's how mother's dog ended up unaliving, was from parvo. And if you think that, you definitely shouldn't own a dog. 100%.
Types of diseases do not discriminate.
No, they don't. Not in anybody or anything.
Here's another thing. Flea and tick prevention. There are so many different alternatives. If you truly believe in your heart that flea and tick preventative and heartworm preventative are a poison, there are so many alternatives that you could go down that would help with that. You know? Clove oil and lemongrass.
Yeah.
That helps prevent mosquito bites that carry heartworm disease. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but have you ever seen a heart of a dog that unfortunately passed due to heartworm disease? It's disgusting. I've seen it. I know exactly what it looks like.
That doesn't surprise me, but still. Like at the end of the day, people, vaccinating your dogs is part of the law, as it is if it's a service dog. And we all need to understand whether or not we think that these are good or that they're going to unalive the dog faster. First of all, you need it to go out into public anyways. Second of all, I say it's always better to vaccinate your dog and vaccinate your children to make sure that they don't get whatever diseases are out there, like be unalive from that, then you could have prevented it at the same time.
Bordetella, lepto, parvo, rabies, those are all very important vaccinations. And on top of that, you can go get the lepto, bordetella, and parvo shot from Tractor Supply for $15. If you're worried about money, you can go that avenue. The only thing is you do have to go to a vet to get your rabies vaccination.
Yeah.
I
But do you
personally
have anything you want to add? Else?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I just want to see if you had anything else you wanted to add.
I personally vaccinate my own personal dogs all on my own for lepto, bordetella, and parvo yearly. I do those vaccines myself because I'll be honest, I'm broke as well. And that's the most cost-effective way for me to still get my dog's vaccinations, but also at the same time, I don't have to spend as much money.
Yeah. And I even know that they carried that. I'm actually going to do that route now because it might be cheaper on me.
It's like $15-20 at Tractor Supply and any other of those types of stores.
Definitely going to look into that. But is there anything else you want to add to this, Kaiten?
Vaccinate your gosh darn animals. For the love of all things holy, vaccinate your animals. And your children, for that matter.
especially if they're service animals. So the next topic that we're going to talk about, guys, is faking a service dog, the real consequences that impact legitimate teams. So, and this in this topic, we're going to be discussing like how fake service dogs really impact us and the consequences that we have to deal with when you do falsify a service animal, and the consequences that you can have if you falsify a service animal. Because I see this when I go live Monday through Thursday on my regular scheduled lives, how individuals are like, why do you care so much? This doesn't impact you. Why do you care what somebody else's does? Because in reality, this does affect us, guys. This does impact our lives one way or another. Now, like I'll say this. If you live in like Alabama, and me living in the Midwest, does it affect me right then and there? No. But it can affect the other handlers in your area by causing access issues, by your dog ended up attacking one of their dogs or distracting their dogs or something on those terms, and then that becomes real life consequences for us and other teams and other handlers. And then that makes it really hard for, there to be a standard for service dogs, because then corporations and organizations are like, oh, I had this bad incident with this dog and I'm just not allowing any dogs in. I don't care if you say it's a service dog or not. Then that means I don't get to go out with my medical equipment. That means my son doesn't get to go out with his. And it's highly, highly illegal for them to do that, but also unfair for us. Why can't we go live our lives like every that will be prosecuted against? And because these teams, not these teams, but these fake people that are going in there and they're like, oh, my dog's a service dog, when in reality it's not. It's just a pet. And I could go on about this topic for hours, but you got legal trouble that you can get into, such as court issues. You have fines that can happen, jail time, you getting your animal taken away or put down or not allowed to own an animal in that state or county. There's so much that can happen when you falsify a service animal. I like to tell people, if you wouldn't falsify as a military individual or a police officer or a fireman or an EMT or a doctor, why should you falsify a service animal at the end of the day? Because while, yes, those are people, service animals are just as important as those people, because those people save lives. So do these service dogs at the end of the day. Just because they are animals does not make them less than what a doctor can do to a certain extent. Doesn't mean that they can't save a life like a fireman can.
I mean, like, I'll give you an example. My friend, Dog for Clint, he is currently working with service animals and doctors at the same time, because service animals are able to detect these issues before the doctors can.
Yeah.
Detect these issues up to 15 minutes before a doctor can even get a reading.
Whoa, your mic is terrible.
Is this better?
Yes.
As I was saying, Dogs for Quint. She is working alongside both service dogs as well as medical professionals, because these dogs are able to detect these issues up to 15 minutes before even a doctor can get a freaking reading. Sometimes even longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes can save a life.
My service dog is trained to an hour, can literally detect an hour before my issues. And that's literally detrimental to my life because of me having disabled children and me making sure that they're safe, plus having minor children under the age of 5. Like, even if they were not disabled and didn't have their disabilities the way that they did, it is still unsafe to leave a child unattended either way under the age of 5. And realistically, till the age of 13. But at the same point, because of their age and how young they are, they could get injured very easily from being unattended. So my service dog giving me that hour has literally saved their lives and mine at the same time.
100%. And I'm training my current service dog in training for a high heart rate alert, because if I pass out, there's no one to watch my infant.
And that's literally the only way that we could be able to be parents, is by these dogs majority of the time. Because that means that we're stuck at the house 24/7, and that we need nurses to come and take care of us, and we need people to go and buy food or certain items. Well, I couldn't have people go and buy food for me because I have a disabled child that has food restrictions, but still. Like there's reasonings why we want to do what we want to do. And who wants to stay in their house 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? Like the government right now doesn't want to help out with, doesn't want to get people their SNAP, doesn't want to, it's very hard to get on disability for a disabled individual. So if we're stuck in our house with these dogs that we have to use in order to be able, and a bunch of these people are being like, oh, go get a job. Okay, well, first of all, if you don't like our dogs in public in general, how do you expect us to have a job with that same dog? Like, we can't go and get a job because you guys don't want the dog in there, correct? And most people won't hire disabled individuals because it's a liability or they can't work a certain amount of hours. So that means that we can't get a job. Then we go into the fact of, now we're stuck in the house 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're going to go start craving mad. Like, even people in prison and solitary confinement have to have exercise and exposure to light and people a certain amount of hours per day in order for them not to go crazy.
I mean, I'll be honest, I was on a medical hold for 2 days. 2 days. I had not seen any light. There were no windows in my room, nothing. I went outside and that sun hurt, okay? It's not like it's, oh, we need to go outside because we need to stretch our legs. No, it hurts if you're not able to go see the sun and you see it for the first time in a while.
Yeah. Real life consequences to us not having our service animal is us can become done alive. Real life consequences for you is you going to jail. And if you have anywhere between $20,000 to $20,000 to $90,000. Correct me. I'm sorry, I was wrong. To give somebody for a service dog, then go ahead, bring your dog out all you want. If you have that kind of money, go ahead, bring your dog out. Like, go all for it. And also, bear in mind, that's not included with court fees, medical fees, dog vet bills, or anything like that. That's just for the new service dog alone, okay? So if you have that type of money plus extra money on top of that, go ahead, take your dog with you, go out, go skip rope, go do what you want to do. I don't care if you have that type of money. But if you don't, really think about the consequences first. But if you also, by the way, if you do have that kind of money and you are doing that, that just means you're POS, like in a reality. Ouch.
I agree.
But at least you have money that you could spend on another individual to get a new service dog. So
why should you care if you have that kind of money?
Most people, like, that's also what I can't stand is when famous people do it, because they're like, oh, I have the money, so why does it matter? That just pisses me off, because then they have to show people that they can do it, so the other people that don't have the money do it, and it's just annoying. It's so annoying. I don't see why it's like a trend to fake service animals. I really, really don't. If here's what I don't understand. Young individuals, and even I'm gonna point out the young individuals first. The young individuals are so much about internet, and some of us as well, like millennials and Gen Zers and everything else. We're so influenced by the internet that we're willing to do anything to get the views, right? So if there was a trend of faking being a military member, faking being a police officer, faking being a doctor, I bet you if they could get the views for that, they would do it.
A lot of people would. And I mean, take for example, there was someone, I forget the name of the dog, but it was like the Walmart dog. And it wasn't a service animal, and they would intentionally bring this dog into a Walmart and just let it be pet by people.
Yeah. I can't stand the fact that people think it's such a joke to do this. And I'm like, guys, at the end of the day, you're faking medical equipment. Like, you sitting in a wheelchair going around popping wheelies and think it's hilarious. Like, you're like that's disgusting behavior. Like, why would you fake a dog that is needed for a disabled individual? Like, that just pisses me off. That honestly does. It just makes me so mad. And I'm one of the lucky ones that has gotten to the point to where I don't need a service dog anymore, and I'm very grateful in that. But I'm still going to advocate, and I'm still there to advocate for other individuals. And it pisses me off something fairs understanding the world that they live in, because I lived the world. Luckily, I'm not cured, but I've gotten to the point to where I don't need the assistance of a service animal anymore. But I'm still like, why would you ever fake a service dog? Why? Like, to gain benefit for your own selfish reasons? Like, oh, I just don't feel good. I feel like my anxiety is bad today, so I'm gonna take my foofy schnuckykins with me because I have bad anxiety. Like, okay, congrats. Does Foofy Schnuckykins knows how to help you? No, she just sits next to me and barks at people, and it makes me just feel better. Okay, well, Foofy Schnuckykins needs to stay at home then, because I'm sorry that Foofy Schnuckykins isn't a trained service animal that doesn't age your disability. It literally just sits there to bark and make you feel better by barking. Like, no, that's an annoying dog that needs to be trained. If you can't train your dog, if you don't know how to train your dog, you shouldn't own a dog. Training is part of the care of a dog.
Here's another thing. These dogs are terrified when they go out in public. Have you seen these people with fake service dogs? These dogs are shaking, they're whale-lying, they're panting, they're stiff-bodied, their tail's tucked,
Well, I also say it's the same thing for kids, right? Like, for kids, you have to do their basic necessities. Basic necessities of being clothed, shelter, medication, schooling, and teaching the child and raising a good child. If you're not capable or don't want to do either any one of those things, you shouldn't be a parent. If you're not going to watch your kids when they go outside and play, if you're not going to monitor your kids when they're on social media, if you're not going to teach them how to be respectful individuals, if you're not going to listen to their teachers that teach them for you while you go to work, you don't need to be a parent. If you can't vaccinate your dogs, if you can't train your dogs, if you can't house your dogs, feed your dogs, or anything else like that, or any pet in your household, you shouldn't own a pet. That's how it is. You don't get a free pass and get to do whatever you want to do just because you think it's nice to have a pet in the house. Like, no, you have to be able to afford these things. And if you can't afford it, don't own a pet.
100%. I'm a firm believer that 90% of the people that own dogs should not be owning dogs.
No, they shouldn't.
You can argue with me on that if you want to, but that is a firm belief that I have, and I don't think that there is much that would be able to change my mind.
No, I don't think there's much that would change my mind on that either. Not everybody deserves to be a parent. Not everyone deserves to be a dog owner. I'm sorry. Not everyone deserves it. Not everyone deserves to be a pet owner at the end of the day. If you cannot provide the basic necessities for your dog, including training your dog, you don't deserve a dog. You need to sit there and train your dog. Whether that's the basic training, that's fine, but that also means if you do basic training with your dog, that doesn't give you the right to take your dog out into public either. That just means, okay, you did the bare minimum.
No one's going to give you an award for doing the bare minimum and taking your dog out in public. Cool, your dog can sit. So can mine. My dog can also detect my heart rate when it's going 90 miles an hour and tell me to sit the heck down and won't let me get it back up until it's time for me to get up.
Exactly. Cool, your dog can sit. Mine can detect seizures. Can your dog do that? No. Your dog's just going to sit there and look pretty and bark its head off when somebody walks near it. And I'm sorry, that dog's not trained either. Get control over your dog. If you're going to break the law and take it out, at least have control over the damn dog. Instead of having it miss medical alerts or help an individual out with their disability, control your damn dog at the end of the day.
100%. I mean, it's frustrating because, I'll be honest, there's a person in my own apartment complex. Yes, this dog is very well trained, and I'm not even going to doubt that. I've seen it myself. But I've also seen this dog, the moment it sees me, bolts and almost pulled over its owner because the dog loves me. And she has admitted on multiple occasions that she takes her dog into Walmart on multiple occasions.
My grandmother admitted to me yesterday that she's been taking her dog out into public with her. Now, my grandfather does have cardiac issues. He's had cardiac issue for a long time, and the dog does sense these cardiac issues, but she was never trained to. She's about 2 years old, and she was never trained to. And I'm not gonna doubt, and I've seen the dog. The dog's like pretty decent, but I told her, I was like, Grandma, I understand, like, you get anxiety, and Grandpa is sick and everything else like that, and he could utilize a service dog, but your dog has to be trained in order to go into public. You are breaking the law by doing this, and here's what I'm going to, here's what I told her. I was like, I love you dearly, and I don't want this to happen to you, but if somebody were to bring in a dog that wasn't trained like your dog is and attacks her, you're going to be stuck with a bill that you can't afford. I was like, and you can't get any type of money from it because the court is going to not favor to you because you have no reason to have that dog out there. Because they're going to ask you, is this a service dog? You're going to have to say no because it's not a service dog. And if you say yes, then they're going to ask for proof of that. And that means my grandpa needs to have a doctor's note stating that he needs a service dog. Or you need a psychiatric note stating that you need a service dog, and then the dog be trained to do something other than provide you comfort when you go out into public. I was like, and that's the reality of it.
100%.
And she was kind of baffled by it too. She was like, oh, I didn't realize it was that big of a deal. I was like, it is that big of a deal. It's like you going around calling yourself a sergeant when you've never served a day in your life in the military. It's like you going around saying that you're a first responder when you've never did anything, whether that be police, firemen, search and rescue, EMTs, paramedics, anything like that. I was like, you didn't do any of that. So you're sitting there calling yourself something when you're not. You're sitting there letting your dog be called something that it's not. By you bringing it out into public, you're automatically claiming it as a service animal because it's only allowed in your dog is only allowed in non-pet friendly areas or pet friendly areas. Sorry.
100%. And if that dog were to have a bad day and lash out at someone, you could be stuck with an $11,000 bill that you can't afford.
Exactly. Because they're both on SSI.
And I say $11,000 because just a trip into the ER, just the ER visit alone is $10,000. Okay, and on top of that, bare minimum, you're going to be stuck with a $1,000 charge from the vet.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the last topic of today, guys, and then we're going to wrap up this live in this podcast video. So the third and final topic that we're going to be talking about today is service dogs in the emergency room. What happens in a hospital stay or surgery? So in this topic, we're going to dive into like what's going to happen if you have to go to the emergency room with your service animal, how to deal with that, what steps you should take in order to ensure that your service animal is able to be being taken care of if you're in a hospital stay or you're in surgery or whatever the reasoning is. And this is vital for every single handler to know, whether or not you are a new handler, you're an ally, whether or not you're curious or whatever the case is. This is information that every single handler needs to know, and everybody should know as well, especially if you're you work in the medical field. You should definitely know this as well because this pertains to you. So first of all, let's get into like emergency stays. So something goes wrong, you have to admit yourself into the emergency room. Excuse me. Can your service dog go with you to the emergency room? Yes, 100% they can. They are legally allowed to go in there with you, and they are allowed to go back there with you as well while you're in the emergency staying. Now, if you are admitted into the hospital, can your service dog stay with you? Yes, your service dog can, but you have to have a secondarily handler. Now, a lot of you are going to sit there and say, what do you mean, secondarily handler? I don't know what that means. Great question. Yes, let's get into that. So a secondarily handler is a person that can take control over your dog while you are in the hospital or something happened to you or whatever the case is. Every single handler needs to have a secondarily handler. Okay? And you also need to have backups just in case your secondarily handler cannot come with you for some reason. All right? So that means if you are married, your spouse is your secondarily handler or can be. They need to be trained on your dog. They need to know how to handle your dog, what commands to use, and the dog needs to listen to your secondarily handler. That can also be parents if you're a young child. That can also be roommates, best friends, anyone that is not your care team. Okay? So if you were admitted into the hospital and you were to stay into the hospital, your dog can stay with you, but you need that secondarily handler to be able to stay with. Okay? So that secondarily handler is going to maintain the dog, such as if they need to go to the bathroom, that secondary handler is going to take that dog out to the bathroom. If they need food or water, that secondary handler is going to go home, grab their food, and then come back and feed them or take them home or whatever the case is that needs to be done. They're going to take over as handler and take care of the dog. While the dog is still assisting you, yes. And the dog can stay with you in a hospitals. Now, the only places that a service dog is not welcomed and cannot be in or can be reasonably denied into is any surgical rooms, any burn units, basically anywhere that's sterile, and in most ICU rooms as well. Now, some individuals ask, what about labor and delivery? What about NICUs? NICUs are also considered sterile, so you will it's a hit or miss with that one. You can be reasonably denied in NICUs, but they are allowed in labor and delivery rooms because it's not considered sterile an environment. While you are performing a medical thing and is a medical act, it's not a sterile environment like an operating room is. Now, if you go in for a C-section or any type of surgery, then the service dog can be reasonably denied and has to be with that secondarily handler in order to be in the hospital with you. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Same thing with surgeries. If you go in for surgery, of course, the dog can't go back with you. It has to wait in the waiting room with the secondarily handler and then can stay with you after you get out. If you do not have a secondarily handler and you have an emergency happen to you, like let's say you were in a car accident or something were to happen, sorry, I'm having the coughs right now. They will take the dog to a shelter and have you and have and if you're conscious, they will tell you to have somebody else pick the dog up, or the shelter will keep the dog until you are able to get the dog. And if you end up becoming unalived and nobody can claim the dog, then they will give the dog to somebody else. At least that's what I've been told the protocol has been done by if that were to happen. And that's only if like you have no family members or no family members claim the dog and everything like that. And that's, like I said, in emergency purposes, you don't have a secondarily handler that comes in and they have to remove the dog. Kaden, is there anything you want to add?
Um, and I will be honest, I was illegally denied my own service dog in the labor and delivery room. And their reasoning was, well, what if? And that what if never happened. And on top of that, I did have a secondary handler with me at the time, my current husband. So even if I had that backup, and they still said no. But yeah, I will say it's kind of hit or miss, especially with labor and delivery, from what I've heard from other people as well. But
Well, I was able.
says you can.
So labor and delivery, you are allowed to, and you can fight it and everything. And I tell people like they should fight it. 100% they should, because it's not a sterile area. Like while yes, you are having a child and everything, but anyone can basically come in to a certain extent. Like you have your husband or the baby daddy there, the father of the child there. You could also have your mother in there. You could have anybody in there as long as they're not cutting into you, such as like a C-section or something like that, and it's a sterile area. Then that's different because not the hospital room, while it is somewhat sterile, it's not sterile. So they are allowed to be in labor and delivery. I've known multiple people that have had their service dogs in labor and delivery.
At the time, I didn't know much better, so I just went along with it, even though I could have really used her during that time.
Yeah,
Because she also does psychiatric.
exactly. That's why I wish we would have been friends when you had your kid, because I would have definitely told you about it and helped you out. But 100%. Like, and not everybody knows that as well. And they're like, you really can? And I'm like, yes, you seriously can have your service dog in the room with you in labor and delivery. Now, if it's a C-section, that's different, and you can be denied. But if it's you are going through the natural labor of you having the child, what by you like pushing the baby out, then yes, your service dog can be there with you. Just that secondary handler has to be with you, and the dog can do tasking, yes, but also has to like it can't. What I will say is, guys, if you're gonna bring your dog in to your labor and delivery, make sure that your dog is able to follow your commands to where like if you say no and like turn them away, they're gonna listen. Well, I understand that there are behavioral disruptions and they tend to intelligently disobey when you're going through the labor and you're going through these pains. The dog can react differently, and that can send them into like, oh, I need to alert, I need to be there for my person, and then they ignore you because they know you're hurting, but then you need the nurse to come in and check you out and all that stuff, and then the dog gets in the way. So have a leash on standby, have something on standby to make sure that the secondary handler can have the dog and the dog listen to them.
Another thing, don't have your dog on your stomach while you're in labor. I feel like that's a thing. You know what I mean?
I've never seen a person do that while they're in labor.
I'm just saying, for joke's sake, don't have your dog on your stomach while you're in labor.
Because you're in too much pain to want to do that.
The dog will help push. It's fine.
Just press it on the stomach. Oh, that is terrible after having a child, then pressing on your stomach. It is the worst thing ever, especially if you have a C-section.
They never did that with me.
Oh, they had to with me because of my two C-sections, and then when I had my hysterectomy, they didn't need to. But with my two C-sections, oh my God, they had to push on it, and it was the worst pain ever because I had the C-sections, and I hated it so much.
I gave birth naturally, so a little bit different with me.
Unfortunately, my first child decided that he wanted to be complicated. I had to have an emergency.
I mean, I also gave
So
birth with dislocated hips, so we'll that's another story for another day. But yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna be difficult, and you're gonna have to cut me out of you. I'm like, great, scar forever.
Yippee!
But yeah, but yeah, just always make sure that you have a backup from your secondary handler as well, guys. Because here's what I will say: if that person can't come or something, or they were in the car with you and they had an accident or whatever the case is, right? You have another person that can come in and take over for them in case you
Have
need
an
to.
ABC plan.
Have an A through Z plan. Have shit planned out, guys. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to maintain your service dog and be able to maintain your sanity at the same time. Because you don't want to be in a hospital and, your secondary handler is also in the hospital and you're like, man, I don't have anyone to take control to help me with my dog, and I can't go out and I can't do anything. I can't feed the dog because the nurses can't take care of the dog for you. The doctors cannot take care of the dog for you. You have to have somebody else.
100%.
There's Yeah, there's nothing else that they're gonna be able to do. They're just gonna tell you that they're gonna have to you're gonna have to have somebody come get the dog, or they're gonna have to have animal control come get the dog. That's gonna be the two options if you don't have another handler from your secondary handler. If somebody can't come in, yeah, if you don't have a third or a fourth or a fifth or a sixth or a millionth, you don't have to have a million, but still, my whole point is if you don't have a backup to your backup to your backup, you're gonna have to deal with either somebody coming and getting the dog and taking it home, or the animal control coming and getting the dog and taking it to the pound.
Which none of us want to happen. I mean, your dog going to a pound is going to be pretty scarring for a dog, I would say.
Who wants to take their dog to the pound or have their dog taken to the pound? I don't even want my own dogs taken to the pound. And I got them from a shelter. The last thing anyone wants is that. So always make sure that you're prepared.
But
We just got to make sure you guys got to make sure that you're prepared when it comes down to emergency purposes. We all got to plan out our stuff. I know that some of us don't like to do it, and some of us are like, hey, it's very hard for me to plan things out that I'm not unsure of, which is understandable, but we have to understand that we always have to have plans when it comes down to emergency cases. I have a plan for my kids if something were to happen to me or my husband. I have a backup plan for them. I have a care team for them ready if I need to take them to the doctor or whatever the case, or like I need to go to the doctor or my husband does, and somebody has to watch over the kids. I have a plan in motion, and I have somebody that can come and take care of the kids if need be. We have to do the same thing with our dogs. We have to have a care team in plan that can take care of the dogs.
100%. And it's a scary thing too, because if you don't have that backup, you don't know what's going to happen to your dog.
Exactly.
You don't. I mean, if I was trained to assist a specific person and I get forcibly taken away from that person, how much anxiety do you think that would cause a dog? Just how much?
Oh, there's a reason why that dogs get, really surrendered, because the individual doesn't want the dog. That's why the dog is, it literally like craps himself and has major diarrhea because of it, and they won't eat for days because of it all. It is the saddest thing any dog could ever go through. And imagine doing that to a service dog. Like, these dogs are already hyper fixated on us as it is. Like, they don't know about us because they are service dogs. They are meant to do their jobs. That's all they know how to do. And you take that away from them, or you put them somewhere where they're unfamiliar and their handler's not with them, that's going to send anyone into a panic attack, regardless if it's a dog or a person.
100%. But I don't really have much else to say. I will say that.
Right now, I'm just trying to ramble on for the next 9 minutes. Because we got 9 minutes left of the podcast. But we can open it up for questions if anybody has any questions that they want to have answered or anything else like that. I will do the outro really quick. Okay, outro. There we go. All right, so that is it for today's episode of the Beyond the Leash podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us, learning more about the amazing world of service dogs. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow, share, and leave a quick comment. It really helps us to reach more dog lovers like you. Until next time, stay positive, keep those tails wagging, and give your pups an extra treat from us. Make sure you follow me on this platform, which is Service Dog Educator 24. I also have our Beyond the Leash podcast in the comment section up here, guys. Up in the boxes and everything. That is our podcast channel where you can get all the updates and everything on the service dog stuff, the podcast and everything. There's also an Instagram. There's also a Facebook of the Beyond the Leash podcast. Go ahead and follow those. They're all linked in my bio and linked down there in the description. Kaiten, do you have any social medias you want to hand out?
You can follow me here at Kaiten_K.9. And that's really it for me.
All right, and make sure, guys, that you follow our editor and co-host on here, Bumble 1-800-GOT-WASP. She's an amazing person as well. Make sure you follow her. And she couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately, but she is an amazing person. We love her dearly. But if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to submit them now while we finish this up. Change to the Q&A really quick.
Also, I'm sorry about being able to hear Ethan at the very beginning, but he woke up literally 2 minutes before the podcast started.
It's not that big of a deal. You kept yourself muted, so that's all I care about.
Zask. ZSK.
Yeah, I haven't changed it. Okay, leave my dyslexia alone.
Oh, I will forever bully you for that. But I bully you because I love you.
I hadn't had a chance to fix it.
It's okay. I bully you because I love you. I also forgot that today was Friday.
I heard. You don't think I don't know?
I've been stuck inside my house all week, so I haven't really, been outside to see the world like I normally would.
I understand that, but you didn't miss.
I need to keep better track of my days.
It's not that. Okay, so since nobody's coming up or anything, and this is not me trying to embarrass you or nothing, but it's not you need to keep track. You do, but this is what I'm going to say, okay? And this is coming out of respect of love, okay? It's not me hating on you or nothing like that. I understand you got your kid. I understand that, you probably didn't get out much this week and your days fell into one and you didn't know what day it was. Understandable. If it may help you, put a reminder on your phone. Like literally go on your calendar, put podcast, set it for 8:30 and put it weekly. And it'll remind you every week, 30 minutes before, hey, you got the podcast. So that way you're not missing out and you could also see it on your calendar.
I will
That's one
definitely
thing.
do that. But
Yeah.
this also gives me a reminder that tomorrow I need to wake up early.
Yeah. But
It also threw me off because
what
my
I will
husband
say.
had a day off on Wednesday.
Oh, that's nice. This is the last thing I'm also going to say is that me and Bumble do a lot more of the work, right? I've been doing all week long besides the other lives that I do. I've been like literally giving out promotions
And I mean, if you
for
want me to, I can help promote too. I want to help out more.
yeah, I have stuff for people to promote. It's me asking people to do promotions. Like I got Amber to agree to do a promotion, which we're going to be making an ad for this coming up, like this podcast on Sunday for her. And
I
I'm
mean, I
also going
have
to
a
be
friend who
promoting.
might be able to help also make a promotion, like a promotional video for us if you want me to ask my friend to help out.
It's not about a promotion video. It's about getting bigger creators to promote the podcast to reach it out to their fans.
I mean, he's got 2,000 followers, so it's not that big, but
Well, Amber also has in the K's. She's like 10K or something like that. She's got a lot of people. If I were to reach out to Angel, she's got a lot of people that we could utilize. If Zuko wasn't a bad person, we could have utilized him as well. You know what I mean? That's
I
what I'm
don't know
meaning.
who
Like I've been
Zuko
reaching
is.
out to individuals.
I don't know who Zuko is.
Sable Warriors.
Nope.
He's a guy that was on here that was a service dog person but ended up doing stolen valor and not being a service dog person. That's a whole thing. But he was a big person on here that, if he wasn't a bad person, he could have promoted the live that gave us more of a, following per se. The whole point, and this is not me coming at you, okay? This is just me saying, like, me and Bumble we're basically the pillars that hold this business, right? And you guys are like the employees, where you come in, you do your thing, then and everything, and when we start getting the paycheck, you guys will receive your paycheck, right? But we're like the CEOs while you're just the employees that come in,
Yeah, and I understand that.
and all I ask is the bare minimum of just you showing up on Fridays, which we've been over,
Which I do.
and
I at
even
least
I'm gonna
try.
have a talk with Tiffers tonight because even though she was in the accident, I told her that she could take her time, and yeah, Tiffers got into a car accident a couple weeks ago, and she was really banged up.
I
That's why
didn't
she
know
hasn't
that.
been. Yeah, that's why she hasn't been in here. She had an accident, but she said she was going to show up today, so I'm going to have a call with her and tell her, "Hey, you've been saying you're going to show up." She was supposed to show up last week too, but she ended up not. So I'm going to have a call with her and say, "Hey, you're if you're going to show up, show up. If you're not feeling good because of your injuries, like just say that you're not going to be able to come." Yeah, Tiffers got into a car accident, I believe like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. And she had to have her emergency surgery on her leg and everything.
Oh my.
She's in a brace. So I told her she could take the time off, but she decided not to, and she wanted to join because she can't do much, and she's going crazy. And I told her that that's fine if she wants to join, but I expect the same thing as I expect from you. Just show up. If you're gonna
And
say you're gonna show up, show up.
I did miss it that one time, but I have been showing up since.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you haven't. I'm just saying, like, that's all we expect out of you guys. You know?
Show up, do our job.
If you want to be tagged in the video, you gotta show up. The only reason why me and Bumble keep our tags and we basically have immunity from getting kicked off is because we run this shit. You can't really fire the CEOs. Like, of a business, you can't really fire them. Because they're the
It's a
ones that
long drawn
created
out process, but yeah.
unless you have somebody that can take over the business better. like their
Yeah.
son or another person. But as of right now, this podcast is run by us. Like it's Bumble's YouTube channel, it's my Spotify channel, it's me promoting, it's her editing, it's all of that. We're like the glue that holds this together. You guys are the pieces that we glue in. Because we can't have the podcast without you guys. But we can end this now, by the way. That was all I had to say. And I think that we did a pretty good job, just me and you. And I appreciate you showing up.
I mean, without me, there wouldn't have been much of a podcast this time.
Honestly, like I told Bumble if nobody shows up, because I didn't know you were showing up or not, because I didn't get a text or not. I don't know if she's showing up, and if she does, like great. But if she doesn't, we're just gonna redo it. We're gonna do the podcast tomorrow with just me and Bumble, and we won't tell anybody. Hi.
All right. Oh yeah, he's learned a new word, and it is hi. How did you get?
I can hear that. Very aggressive hi.
Oh yeah. Ethan, you say hi. Hi. Hello. Hi. Oh, he's blowing you kisses.
Oh. Mwah.
He said hey.
Hi. Hey.
He started walking.
Yeah, I told you he'd get there.
He takes a couple steps at a time. His only
He'll get
thing
there.
is he wants to go faster than his legs can take him
Yeah, he'll learn quickly. Then you can't do that.
right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna head off and go rest my voice before I literally shoot it too much.
All right. Also, look at Octonauts Season 1, Episode 13, and I want you to watch the first 3 minutes of that.
Okay. Why?
You know the penguin character, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes through his closet, and all of it is penguin costumes. Basically, he peels off. I don't even understand it. Sorry, it
A little weird.
it frazzled me.
No, that's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't you weird? It was the show weird.
Yeah, Season 1, Episode 13, the first 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna head off for the night. So good night, everybody. Make sure you train your service dogs if you have them and haven't already. And I will be back live Monday afternoon with a regular scheduled live. Have a great weekend. Be safe, guys. And much love and appreciation. Thanks, Kaiten, for joining. Make sure you guys follow her as well. And we will see you all very, very soon with another live.
A dream,
Good night, everybody.
that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong.